Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Jonnita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Kashka Williams, and we are TSARE. This is the There's Something About Real Estate, where we talk all things real estate. So, guys.
I'm changing my name to R.E. Just Re.
Just Re. Just Re.
Yeah, I'm going to bring the beehives back. Beehive haircut.
I mean, you know, double entendre there. Real estate. All right.
Oh.
See, I want to talk today about buyer education, home ownership education, and also what's happening in the market, predictions for what's happening with the rentals and what's happening with people trying to purchase. I'm sorry, sometimes we be leaving the sellers out, but I think this is more paramount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Using big words.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, first question, what's happening in the rental market? I'm not as advanced there. Reggie put the question out there, so I'm going to leave it to Reggie.
No, because we deal with a lot of investors that got rental properties, right? And they're trying to sell these properties because they couldn't evict for the past year or so, right? And what I'm telling tenants, because I get people that's always calling looking for rental properties, but like you heard the saying, like yesterday's prices is not today's prices.
Absolutely.
People are still trying to rent properties for $650, $700, 3 bedrooms in Detroit. That's not the case anymore. So what I'm seeing happen is people are getting priced out of Detroit even in the rental market. So it's going to be crucial. I'm telling people, if you got a good landlord and affordable rent, don't be in a rush to move, because once you get back out here, the market completely different. And the landlords now, they don't want to take the risk that they used to take because they know it's much harder to evict if they have to. So the application process is going to be more stringent. It's just going to be harder to get approved for rental properties. That's what I'm seeing in the market
Big
now.
time. You got a lot of renters.
Right.
Right? So you got a lot to choose from. So
Right.
you don't have to, before, it's like, just let me get anybody in here. You know what I mean? Now it's like, no, let me get the right person in here.
And here's the thing, too. Like, a lot of people that were collecting unemployment, they were renting. A lot of people didn't pay their rent, but we say that, but a lot of people actually were paying their rent still. But the thing is, a lot of people didn't go back to work. So when you go out back into the rental market and you apply on these applications and it asks for your work history and you chose not to go back to work if you had that option, they're going to say, what's your employment history, right? That's on a rental application. What are you going to say? Right?
Everybody will say COVID.
COVID. Everybody's going to blame it on COVID.
Which we know is a lot, right? Because everybody was hiring.
Yeah. And you competing against people that went back to work and was like, oh, I take that $17.50 working at Panda Express, right? So how's that going to match up when you go back out into the rental market?
But one of the things you just said was yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Right.
So how have the prices increased, and does it have anything to do with past rental prices? Like, why are the prices increasing?
Well, you got to think about it, right? So every probably like out of every 10 houses, it probably would be like 2 evictions, right? Those people wasn't getting evicted. So that means those homes are still occupied. So the home that you probably was going to rent is not available. So when a home does become available, you just got so many people trying to get those, just like in a buy market. So it's the highest and best scenario, except it's the highest and best tenant.
Yeah. So you're saying because of low inventory is causing the increase in pricing.
Right.
So do you guys think that maybe the increase in pricing is also having to do with the low inventory in the housing market in general? Like less houses to buy, less houses to rent. So you have an influx in price there.
Right.
Better market conditions.
Yeah, and the cost of houses is higher, so they got to raise the rents to make it make sense for investors.
But so where does a person move to then if they can't rent? So you're saying they're being priced out of Detroit. Okay, if Detroit is high, doesn't that mean Okay, and so we're talking like nationwide. So
Right.
Detroit would be our inner city, and then you have the suburbs.
Right.
I mean, can we move into the suburbs for less?
They been priced into the different areas of Detroit.
Yeah.
Not the desirable areas.
Gotcha.
The area that other people that you don't really want to be in.
Yeah, so what you were used to at one price, you may not can get the same quality for that price.
Gotcha.
So again, if you got a good landlord
Stick with 'em.
and the house is good, it's affordable, you might want to think twice, or at least see what's out there before you start giving like your 30-day notice and everything, because you'll be surprised how much has changed over the past 2 years, especially if you go into a property that's up to code. Now, you might get some slumlords or something like that, but you don't want that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so I have a couple properties that are rented out. My tenants were like early payers.
Right.
And then during like the last probably 8 to 10 months-ish, they kind of fell off a little bit. One of them, like she continues to pay early and on time. Another one, I thought I was going to have to evict him. He's talking about he's going to move to Atlanta. But
Right.
then when the eviction time to move came, he just was like, you know what, he came and paid his rent. And I was kind of, wondering about that. Like, okay, is he paying his rent because he really can't find, I mean, what else can you find that's nice,
that price.
fresh,
Right.
like refreshed, new carpet and paint at the price that he's paying for
Right.
rent?
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
I'm not talking about my tenants. They're all
Right.
no knock to my tenants. I got great tenants. Thank y'all.
Look, me and him got a great relationship. I'm going to send him this episode. He going to laugh.
Right.
Watch.
All right. Make sure you subscribe.
Exactly. I'm going to have him subscribe next time I see him.
No, but that's a real thought. He probably
Yeah.
thought he was about to move and then realized, shit, I can't. Where am I move to?
Yeah.
I can't afford it because you haven't went up on your rental prices.
No, I haven't.
You stayed in like 2018
Yeah.
rental.
Right.
Because I'm fair. And his brother stays right down the street. Like, you're not going anywhere, bro. Okay.
Right.
I'm just kidding. So, I want to talk about the houses because that's where I'm more, versed in. 2022 predictions.
Right.
So, when we're talking about predictions, what does that mean? Like, just in overall, like, growth in equity,
Right.
home sales, more inventory, less inventory, stabilizing, softening out.
I'm gonna give a simple one, and then
Right.
Red's gonna
Okay.
go in depth. 'Cause he got, I think that so I was one of those people that thought that we were headed for not a crash,
Right.
but definitely a correction.
Right.
But now I don't think that it's gonna happen in 2022.
You might be right.
Yeah.
I think so. I think interest rates just ridiculously low compared to, I know people still paying 6% on their mortgage, and they didn't refinance because the cost to refinance to them just didn't make sense, right? But interest rates low, is still low inventory. But what's going to happen is, so people have like this, like a fear of loss mindset. It's a greater motivator than anything. So people, it's like a stock. Say you bought a stock at $80, right? And you see it go up to 90, then you see it go up to 100. Your thought is not to sell because you're like, oh, it's going to go to 110, especially if everything is good. You're not hearing nothing negative. But the minute that stock dropped from 100 and it's go down to 95, it go to 90, your mindset sometimes would be like, let me sell it before it goes to 70, right? So we're seeing homes, a lot of sellers are putting their homes on the market. They're pricing them ahead of the market, thinking the market is still going up. Then the appraisals are coming back, or they're sitting on the market longer. The more inventory we get, then you're not going to get 13 offers. You're probably going to get 2 or 3, and we're seeing that happen. But it's not the huge appreciation we've seen before. So you're going to start seeing a correction. But what's going to happen is people that are getting like market reports from us, and they're like, oh, this house was $425 and the next one sold for $435. As soon as they see that $410 sale, they're going to start panicking, right? So it really depends. It's gonna trickle down depending on what areas you're in. But it's definitely it has to correct. That's just the nature
You said two things there where I'm like, okay. So you talked about appraisals not coming at that higher dollar amount.
Right.
And you're talking about interest rates.
Right.
So when you said they're still historically low, like, kid you not, like every day, every day.
Right.
I may tell the client, oh, you may be about a 3.625-ish, 3.2 and a quarter, 3 and a quarter. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so high. And I'm like, what?
Right.
Like, so I think that some of us, okay, so I just turned 40. So in this peer group, it's like we're not old enough to understand that interest rates historically were probably closer to the 5.5 to 6.5% range. So when I'm sitting here telling, no, honey, or sir, we're still historically low as far as rates are concerned. By a lot. Mm-hmm. And you're like, do you know what your payment would be if we were at a 5.5, 6?
Right. I always show them.
Exactly. Yeah. And like understanding that, you may, I have to tell buyers all the time, like, so this is like me being sarcastic. Unfortunately, you make good money. Right. You have a great savings, and you can actually take advantage of these low rates. Or, you can continue to wait and watch the rates increase, and you're going to be spending a lot more money over your 30 years. And the people who buy now at this, I guess between like a 2.8 and a 3.8 range.
Yeah, so you mentioned something. So you have buyers that say, I'm going to wait till the price come down, right? So it comes down from $425 to $410, but you paying 2% more. So you really didn't save money.
Exactly.
Right? Or you buy now, you buy now at the lower rate and you catch the price where it is. And then the fear then is, okay, I paid $425. Now the value didn't move anywhere, but you still locked in that rate.
Yeah.
So some buyers are focused on the monthly payment because they're looking at their cash flow overall, right? Mm-hmm. So can I afford the monthly payment on this house regardless of the price?
Yeah.
Right? So if I owe $380 on the house and it's worth $380, but I'm paying $1,800 a month that I can easily afford, who cares what happens to the economy as long as I got income enough to pay the $1,800.
100%.
Right? Mm-hmm. So some people are focused on that part about it. That's why the interest rates right now are driving people to buy.
Yeah.
They can get a monthly payment that they're comfortable with.
Or you realize, like you said, you're going to pay more than that in rent.
Right.
Simple and plain. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I renting for $2,500 when I could be buying this for $1,800?
Mm-hmm. Right. Because the landlord that brought it at this market value, they're not getting the same rates that you're getting. Plus, they got to factor in their monthly payment plus their profit.
Correct.
And you're not getting anything back at the end of that lease term.
Right.
You're just not.
I'm not knocking renters.
No,
you know what
not
I'm saying?
at all.
So I'm not against. I used to, but I'm not anymore.
No, okay. So I feel like there's something about real estate. So we all love it. That means we like the purchasing, we like the land. It's an education. So if you have to rent, go ahead and rent. There's no knock to you. But for these people who do not have to rent, and they're not taking advantage of that, that's kind of like what we've been talking about, the education behind it.
Right.
Why are you not taking advantage of your dollar?
Right.
Increasing that.
Right. Well, I mean, some people just, to be honest, some people they just don't want the responsibility of homeownership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to be like, oh, everybody should own a house. Everybody should. Now, I don't know, probably because I'm older.
No,
I'm like, I'm just not in convincing mode. I'm like, do what works for you, but here's how this can, stop thinking like short term.
Yeah.
Like this is how it can look. Like you said, the lady that had the house, she sold it for $30. Now it's worth what, like $280. She made a short term decision based on a short term circumstance. But at that time, that's what she needed to do.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So you can educate somebody, but I'm just not into convincing people.
Go ahead.
Everybody's scenario, they said, everybody's situation is different. So, like you said, if you're in a short-term situation or you're not sure what you're going to do, renting is great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You may move out of the state. You know what I mean? You may move in a different area. You may be getting a better job. It's too many things to name. So
Right.
This like in this market. So my people that come to me and say, "Oh, I may be moving. I may be getting a different job, and so I'm moving." Okay. So when you rent for the next 24 months, you're going to be able to let your landlord know with notice, okay, I'm moving, my lease is ended, I'm ready to go. And then you're going to leave. However, if you decide to purchase, there's a great potential that you might be leaving with cash in your pocket.
Right.
it's tough.
Or breaking even.
Or breaking even.
Or
Depending
losing.
on the market.
Oh, you could be losing depending on the market.
Depending on how you bought. I mean, if you
Right.
if you just bought in this market that we just had, I don't want to say overpaid. You paid
Right.
more than it was worth.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No, because if you
At
were
the-
He's
numbers,
talking about
that
the
point-
people that bid. They're in the bidding war and they paid more
So
than their
I've
appraised
had that.
value.
So you paid
Right.
more than it's worth. That you may set a new. You did. You paid more. It was. That's what appraisal guarantees are. So the appraisal was $230. You paid $245.
what about the cash buyers?
Well, I'm talking about people that paid more than it was worth. I'm talking about those people specifically. So you paid more than it was worth. Now you talking about you want to leave in 2 years? No. If you're not sure, I think we talked about this in another episode.
Yeah.
We said
Yeah,
5 to 7 years. If you're talking about 2 years, no way you should be buying. If you don't know where you're going to be in 2 years, if you plan on being somewhere 5, 7, 10 years, that's when you buy.
Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily agree, but we came to argue today.
Right. Oh, you want to. So
Because the reason why I'm saying that is I feel like there's an assumption that because you offered an appraisal guarantee that the house doesn't appraise. That's not necessarily true.
No, we're not talking about those.
We're talking about because when you go into an offer situation, that means that you have not had an appraisal yet. So we don't know where it is. You may be talking about the person that actually had to fulfill that appraisal guarantee,
There it is.
but that's not what you said.
I did.
Well,
I
no,
didn't
that's
say
what
everybody.
he meant.
Okay.
Right. It's not what you hear what counts, it's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the thing that I had to understand about real estate and with the regular home buyer, right? Everybody's value on a property is different. So I
Yes.
always say there's a difference between house values and home
I agree.
values, right? So a home is what's valuable to you as an individual. The house value is what the market determines. So like we talked about schools earlier, I may be willing to pay $10,000 more for this house because of the school district, because I know if I move somewhere else, I may have to pay for my kids to go to
Yeah.
school every
it
year.
is.
So I'd rather put the extra $10,000 in the house to make sure I get it, and I'm not worried about moving until they graduate, right? So to me, the value of this home is more important than it would be to somebody that I just like this area, right? That's a complete difference. So I think, it's based on the individual circumstances and what they can afford. But I think a lot of people just don't think it all the way through. They're just buying because they qualify.
So what Reggie just said is a big one. I think a lot of people don't look at that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how I moved to where I live at right now,
Right.
based on the school district. It was like I could stay where I'm at with a lower mortgage and pay to go to a private school, or I can move to a bigger house, safer area, where I can send my kids to a public school.
Right.
Which one makes more sense financially?
Why you ain't just use your cousin address? And let her go?
Because I still would have been it still wasn't that safe.
Hey, you
I would have
coulda
got
got
into
That's
school.
what happened with my oldest child, literally. Like, I wanted to send, we lived in Detroit. I wanted her to go to Ferndale. So
Right.
we used,
Use
Yeah,
your cousin
yeah,
address.
but that doesn't. It don't take you out the
the environment.
yeah,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I needed to be out of the environment.
no, I mean, I completely agree. It's, you talking about a lover of the inner city. I am
Right.
her all day, born and raised. But, I have sons. I'm a boy's mom, and so I had to leave. And my need was not necessarily based around schools,
Right.
because I was okay with paying for schools, which was probably embedded in me because my mother paid for me to go to school.
Right.
And so I was just more so worried about, like safer environment, safer area. What are my boys going to come up seeing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, what's the influence gonna be? Long term. So I definitely get it. But I guess I'm just a proponent of ownership, because I feel like, enough of us don't have that mindset. We have a mindset where, we're gonna rent, we're gonna spend all of our money. We tend to place more value on our material things, like, stuff that doesn't like appreciate. So shirts, clothes, cars, shoes,
Right.
things like that. And so I think that
But you can't drive your house to the club. You can't drive. You gotta have some game to get somebody back to your crib. That car gonna show itself.
True.
When you pull up.
Man, then you pull up like,
Pulling up to the dance
you pull up in your like the biggest BMW or Benz that you can buy, and then it's bigger than the house. That's like cash money.
Yeah.
Backwards thinking. That's backwards thinking.
So
Right.
I think
Not
that's
being
my part. So
informed.
like where you're kind of like, you're not into convincing. I'm not necessarily into convincing, but for all of my people, I want to educate. And yeah, I'm okay with losing. If you don't want me to educate you at the end of the day, like, I'm okay with losing you. You can go somewhere else where it's a little bit more comfortable, if that's what you feel like you need to do. Because
I've definitely lost clients for that reason. I talked to you about it, like, and trying to explain to them why this is not a smart buy for you in your situation.
Right.
And they like, I got fired for that.
So here's the thing.
They didn't buy a house though, and they still didn't buy a house.
If you break down like everybody from buying cars to what we talk about seeing people on Instagram, some people, and this is my personal opinion, some people actually just want to be sold.
Agreed.
Right? So like, you can come with all the knowledge and information, and it may feel like you're the anti-salesperson, right? Like you just want to educate them, you want them to make the right choice. But then they'll see something flashy or somebody that's selling them or spitting game or whatever, and they'll buy into that. Some people want to feel good during the transaction, and they're not thinking about the long-term effects. So when you're talking about education, you're talking about explaining to them and teaching them how to think beyond today. But some people just living for the day. So you got to balance it out, because ultimately you want the client to have what it is that they want.
I tell my clients all the time, like, hey, your wish is my command at the end of the day. However, I will always be able to pull you back. So when you're calling me and it's like, 90 days after we closed, I'm going to remind you of a conversation that we had before we went into this purchase.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we were talking about education. I have a young couple who's buying over in East English on Yorkshire. I'm naming everything. So I'm so proud of them because, they're coming out of Dearborn Heights. They don't really look like us. And they were worried about that part, which I just was like, look, hey, if it's in your gut to live here and be part of the revitalization of the community, then you do what you need to do at the end of the day. So they had this house listed for $179,000. We got the appraisal back. The appraisal came in at $154,000. They decided to meet the seller halfway and negotiate a price to $160,000. So they're going to pay above what the appraisal says that it's worth. So this is where I get a little bit worried. And I'm like, let me look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Let me look at the numbers.
Right.
So I sent them a house that sold less than 60 days ago on the same street for $235,000.
Similar home or just on the
Similar
same street?
home.
Okay.
East English.
Right. Yeah, they pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I and we're talking about one comp. Realtors out here, we're just talking about one comp.
Right.
I didn't go all across the board, but to me it was close enough. It was similar enough
Right.
to establish, you know what? even though you guys are paying $6,000 above the appraised value, and once you go in here and you make the property what you feel like it needs to be a home,
Right.
because it's habitable right now. They have like facial work, some exterior. It's like a lot of exterior deferred maintenance, things like that.
This was more of a property that needed some minor repairs. Okay.
The appraisal came in lower because of the condition of the property.
Okay.
Basically. But it's still habitable.
So technically, they still got equity, though.
They have right now, currently in today's market, a tremendous amount of equity. They're going to be able to go into this house, live in it, and do their upgrades as they see fit.
Right.
You know, they can literally go in here, refinish some floors, paint.
When they buy?
We're gonna close
right now.
Yeah, this is current.
So why you feel like they bought into equity when their appraisal was less than what they paid for it?
Well, she's saying is the amount of work they got to put into it.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. It's still going to put them less than what the true market value is repaired. The ARV.
You saying after they do the repairs?
Right.
So that's sweat equity.
Right, but what I'm saying is if
homeowners.
they in 160, right?
Yeah.
And your count was 235, but they don't have to put more than 60 or 70,000 into it to make it comparable, is what you're saying?
Right. They probably can go in there and put 30,000 into it to make it comparable.
Right.
And then you still, so they're not flippers.
Right.
Exactly.
So then you have, you know, your regular predictions of market growth.
Right.
So those would be the people I was talking about. They paid more for the house than it's worth. And I hear you. You're saying that they can, potentially, because we don't know. So what we do know, the facts are they have an appraisal. Their appraisal is 154. They purchased it at 160. If they needed to sell that house tomorrow, they would lose.
Where?
They got they're gonna get a different appraisal. They're gonna get the 237 appraisal.
They got a conventional appraisal, so it don't stick with the house. They're gonna get another appraisal. No. And they're gonna move
just saying
in there.
In basic terms that if they sold it based on the appraised value, it'd be 154. They already 6,000 over. Mm-hmm. Right, so they 6,000 underwater according to this appraisal.
Correct.
So they would be taking a risk that it would appraise for higher if they had to sell it tomorrow.
So we're flippers though. So is that real?
Yes.
Or is that just an argument right now?
You talking about homeowners?
Yeah, that's real.
That's what we're talking about.
So we're talking about a homeowner. So these same they just sold a house.
Right.
So they've already proved their, capacity.
Right.
They can go into this house, paint it themselves.
Right.
Probably put $10,000 into the house.
Right.
If they need to sell it and profit.
Speculation.
Right.
That would make me not an investor at that point.
No, I hear you, but that is not facts.
Well, we don't live off that.
Well, we can only live off. So we're talking about the facts of the matter. So
the facts is you saying the
house.
facts came in at one. I always got to do this, y'all. I got to come between
go
the two.
ahead.
So you saying the facts is 154. That's factual right now.
We know that 100% sure.
She's saying based on what we do as investors and knowing what the ARV is in the area, that there's room there. So the risk is lower than what you're perceiving the risk to be.
No, I'm not even making a judgment on risk.
Right.
I'm just only going off facts.
You paid 160 for something that appraised for 154.
Period. And
but that appraisal is based on an opinion.
Hold on, and if you needed to sell,
we could get 3 more appraisers out there.
Right.
Yeah, but the likelihood, it ain't about to be 237. You ain't gonna get 3 more appraisers that's gonna go for Nah, hell no.
Which is what it was listed at.
But
the list price came from someplace.
But
yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, it came from a overzealous listing agent.
Yeah. But I understand what she's saying. She's saying this is the appraisal, but based on the comps, there's room to grow.
Potentially.
Most people,
Speculative.
People you were talking about earlier was the house appraised for 235. Mm-hmm. The comps are all at 235, but they paid 240. There's not even room to grow for that.
I could call Reggie. I could say, Reggie, my buyers couldn't. They're not capable.
Right.
The seller still wants to sell. We can get it under contract for $160. Let's go in here and put $10,000 into the property. Let's just repaint it.
Right.
Make sure it's safe for somebody else to move into it. anything that the appraiser flagged as, this little facial work, replace a couple little boards under the windows.
Right.
And we can put it back based on the comps in the area.
Right.
We can put it back on the market for $230,000.
All right. Side note. So I'm gonna give y'all some game. I'm gonna give our audience some game. Right. You do a seller partnership deal. Right. Y'all probably done this before. You got a seller that got the property. That's the hardest part from an investment standpoint, is finding a property.
Acquisition.
You got a seller that already has the property but don't have the money to fix it, to bring it up to that 235. They want 150 for it or 160 or whatever, right? And you see there's room that if you come in and do the rehab or renovations, you can work out a deal where you add yourself the title, right? So you do a title search, make sure they don't have tax liens or IRS liens and all of that.
Title company.
You come in, you renovate the property. Now you give them a little bit more than their 150 because they're going to be happy. They only wanted 150, but you didn't have to acquire the property. So you didn't spend 150, you just spent the rehab cost.
Yeah.
And you guys split in the profit. So that's another way to invest.
Or you can wholesale it. No.
It's not no room in that deal for home
Well,
sale.
you can wholesale it too,
There's
but
no
I'm
room
saying
for wholesale.
I don't think it's room in that deal for not that particular deal, but I think that there's a room for the type of investor that Reggie is. I think there's plenty of room for profit there.
Hold on.
Right.
I got a question. So
Right.
between 154 and 235 is $81,000, right?
Right.
There's no room for a wholesale?
Yeah, definitely room for a wholesale.
I
But-
wouldn't buy it.
But
What?
see,
Also
well,
deal.
no, here's
So if
well,
I came to you and
I mean,
said,
you can't come here with me.
if I came to you and said, so exactly, I wouldn't even come to him with this
Yeah, you
deal
can't
because I
use
would
me.
tell my wholesaler there ain't enough meat on the bone to buy that.
Well, no, it depends on what the wholesaler presented as. Because if the wholesaler come to me and be like, because you won't know the wholesaler got it at 150, right?
Correct.
So if the wholesaler come and be like,
154.
oh, I got a property at
160. You got that
185.
160.
Yeah.
I got a property at 185 and it need 30,000 into it, then nah. But if the wholesaler come to me and be like, I got a property at 160 and it need 30,000 into it, it might work, especially for a newer investor, right? Because it's
Where
still
did the wholesaler make the money
Well,
at the
even-
160?
okay,
So
because
gotta
he
get
brought
the
it at
160.
150. No, I'm
No,
saying
he
if
got it at
got
160.
150.
No, he got it at
No,
160.
160.
He got it at
Okay, so he
160.
came to you at
165.
170.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
170.
in other words, if the wholesaler in that situation was trying to make maybe 10,000 or
Yeah.
so, it's room to wholesale. It's always room to wholesale
Okay.
a property.
Me and Shaka deals, it ain't no room. It ain't no meat on there.
Nah.
Well,
it's
you gotta
gonna-
leave some meat. That's
You gotta leave. Everybody gotta
depends
make
on-
money to
it
make it make
depends
sense
on the
to me.
investor. It depends on the wholesaler.
So for me, for me to do a deal, everybody has to win. But
Right.
That's how I know it's a good deal.
Right.
If I'm the only one, if we the only one winning,
It
it
ain't.
ain't a good deal.
Right.
If they the only one winning, it's not a good deal.
Right.
But if everybody can eat off of it, it's good.
Right. Everybody win no matter
And,
what.
and you got $80,000 in equity, and you're talking about $10,000-$15,000 a REIT. What? That's better than our flip.
Look, so
Right.
let me tell you a person that like to argue.
Bingo.
It wasn't good for the homeowner who don't
Right.
have nothing. They just got themselves in the deal and they sweat equity.
Because
I mean, that's a good deal for a homeowner. Again, it goes to why were they buying in that area in the first
hold on,
place?
because it's not a good deal to me, but I'm using what you speculated on, which is 235 ARV, and I'm finding it hard to believe that the appraiser, based off of cosmetic, made the appraisal $80,000 less. But that's what you're saying, so I'm not arguing it. And I'm saying, all right, fine. If you say cosmetic repairs, $10,000-$15,000, gonna get me another $65,000 in profit, that's definitely a wholesale deal.
Well,
Moving on.
let's say this though, right? So a lot of times we gotta change our mindset. So we forget, like, you factor in the down payment, right? Because a lot of people
Real money.
buying their houses. So really, even on our flips, especially if you're doing like hard money lending, your true investment is your money out of pocket. So if I buy a house for $200,000 as my primary residence, because I dealt with this a lot when people were doing short sales. Oh, I paid $200 for it. Now it's worth $130, right? I'm losing $70,000. Well, how much was
you
your down?
really?
Yeah, how much was your down payment? Oh, I paid $6,000 down. Well, how long you been here? I've been here 3 years. Well, you got $6,000 into it. don't even count the monthly payments because you would have paid that in rent or wherever you stayed, right? So you got $6,000 into it. The person that lost money is the bank.
For sure.
Right? So you not getting your $6,000 back, but they not getting almost $80,000 back. You see what I'm saying? So in that scenario, it was $160. They probably put 10% down or something like that. That and the additional $4,000 or $5,000 they paid above appraisal. That should be the most important thing that they get back.
$21,000.
Right.
So I just did that. I closed on a house in Lincoln Park.
Right.
The buyer is $100,000 house.
Right.
She bid $103,000, offered an appraisal guarantee, did not have to pay the appraisal guarantee because the house appraised.
Right.
So she called me back about 4 months later. I can't stay here, hate the neighbors. Okay. I don't know how we gonna get you this, but I know we need to sell it for at least $112,000, $113,000 for you to break even, get the money you pay for the down payment, so on and so forth. So we list the house for I think $112,900 or something like that.
Right.
End up getting an offer for $125,000 with the $10,000 appraisal guarantee.
Yep. There you go.
Do not bank on that though. I hear you. That does happen.
That's
but
happening,
but do not.
You
that
can't
is
bank
not
on that,
no,
especially if the market turns soft.
What?
Your main concern.
I agree.
Your main concern is getting back your initial investment, right? If you had to go in and put on a new roof and all of that, you start. But then even the roof, you're not going to get that back over years because it the value decrease on that because you got to depreciate that value. But the initial investment is what you're really counting on. So, yeah, a lot of people look at it. Oh, I paid $200. No, you didn't pay $200. You paid $10,000. The bank paid $190, right? So that's where the risk is because we talk about leverage all the time. But it's just when you're a homeowner, it feel like you paid $200.
It's that emotional tie. Like I have a story where. What year was this? Probably 2012 or 13.
Right.
Where you had a person whose mom owned the house. Mother passed away. The person's best friend occupied the house as a renter. Best friend wanted to buy the house. We could do a short sale for about $3,500 to $4,500. Best friend could not let go of the house.
Right.
Because she only wanted to pay the $4,500. It was a $60,000 or $70,000 loan on the property.
Right.
The best friend was more concerned that the house was going to ultimately be sold for about $4,500.
Yeah.
Was not going to get any of the money regardless. The money was anything.
Hater.
You're not going to get it if you lose it.
That's a hater.
Yeah.
I couldn't, like you talking about flabbergasted.
What?
Your mom, I understand mom lived here.
Right.
Mom had a mortgage.
The best friend was the one buying it?
The best friend, if you love this place.
Hold on. Is the best friend of the best friend buying it?
Yes.
That's not the best friend. They're not best friend.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, right?
They're not. That's a hater.
Yeah, like people.
It's the emotional.
Yeah, you got to detach your emotions from it because, like, people would be like, I don't want to give my house away. Well, if the bank gonna take it or the county gonna take it, you giving it away anyway.
Give it to your best friend.
You ain't giving it, right?
So I got people like they'll have a house that's worth like $60,000, right?
Yeah.
And it need repairs, and they might owe like $6,000 in taxes or something, right? And they about to go into foreclosure and then somebody will come and be like, "Oh, I'll pay $45,000 for it." Well, I ain't about to give my house away. In 2 months, you about to give it away anyway.
Yeah.
We had our second deal.
So it's crazy.
Taylor, Syracuse.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
He was like,
Please
dog,
take
I'm
it.
not. I had to talk. I mean, this was a guy. You tell the scenario. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm just trying to remember, recollect. Okay.
I don't even know how you got my phone number.
No, so because you were doing the house on the corner. And something was happening in between that which connected y'all. I'm not going to say what. I'll remind you off camera.
Yeah, don't be sharing
So-
no inside stories.
I wouldn't
No,
Look, I
can't.
don't even
No, can't. So anyway, basically the guy, figured out, Shaka fixes and flips property.
Right.
So Shaka basically, when he think it's hard, he be like, here, call this person. So I called him. And, he basically was like, I need to get all the property, getting ready to foreclose, and my family has been here for a number of years. I don't want to just give it away. However, I don't want to lose it anyway,
Right.
either. So I kind of had to talk him into, like, you know what? We can buy this. We can redeem it. And so your benefit is you don't get a foreclosure on your record.
Right.
Because you're going to satisfy the mortgage. So yeah, you have to get away from those late payments, but you don't have to get away from a foreclosure.
Right.
And we are still going to make sure you profit. No, you're not going to profit $30,000, but we'll make sure you have 5
Cash for keys.
cash for keys.
Right.
Or you can wait 3 weeks and you can get 0 for the house, because it wasn't like it was a it was a good deal,
Right.
but it was a small deal.
Right.
And if he wouldn't let it go for, what we offered him, it would have been no deal.
Right.
So, ultimately, he decided to go ahead and sell it. He decided that the cash for keys was the best option. And he actually moved out and moved his things. I mean, I think with a little assistance for Shaka.
Right.
Shaka had to be like, well, I'll put a dumpster over there.
He
But, bro,
threatened for the day, up to the day of.
yeah, we was
Remember?
like
It was
playing
like, we didn't
good
know.
cop,
I
bad
didn't
cop
know
or
how
something.
it
I
was
think I
gonna
had to
be.
be good cop the
He
whole
was-
time.
He was like, man, I'm not giving my house away.
But
Bruh,
you already
were
gave it
getting,
away.
actually, we was on the last day of
We
redemption.
were.
Right.
Yes.
You're leaving here
Either
60
way.
days after
Right.
this.
The
You know what I'm
easy way or the
saying?
hard way.
Right. Like, you're going to
leaving
get
either way.
0. And
Like-
so I had to basically tell him, like, look, $5,000, you need to get your house set. You need to get your family settled.
Right.
You have to be able to move somewhere else. And to me, it would be more beneficial to take some cash versus no cash.
Right.
You know?
That goes back to mindset though, and more like you said, the emotions of it. Like, remember the property on Longfellow I sent y'all and the people. I had talked to them 6 months prior to that, and it was like originally it was a probate deal, and I was like, "This what y'all need to do." And then he was like, "Oh, we just gonna try to buy the house and keep it." Somebody had brought it in the sheriff's sale. They was gonna try to redeem it, and I'm like, "This is what it's gonna take to redeem it and come up with the money." And they tried
Everything. They never
possible
did.
option up into the last. And I said, "This is not gonna work because of your credit situation, all of this." And I told him, like, I gave him a blueprint. I said, "You can do it this way, this way, or this way. But either way, you should walk away with some money," because it was so much equity in the house. And they just kept
I feel like that deal
BSing.
with those people, they for some reason, the lenses that they saw themselves through were greater than what they actually
That's
were
how it
as far
always
as
is.
like
That's how it
financial
always is.
capability.
That's how they
No,
are.
the guy on Syracuse, I think before it ended, he understood, like, shoot, I'm not going to be able to do anything and I am going to end up with 0. But the people that Reggie are talking about, they were coming from like California. They were going back and forth.
Yeah,
and
they
they
were-
had this like
Oh.
idea.
And the house
of-
was
The big
just
house?
sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the house
big
was
house,
just sitting
we went over there with Paul?
No, Mark.
Mark. Oh,
And the
we
house
didn't
was
buy
just
it, though.
sitting
No.
there.
We wanted to buy it.
Buy it, yeah.
That was yours?
Cause
Yeah.
I was
I'm mad about that
considering
house.
buying
Actually,
it.
I don't know, because I was scared, because COVID happened right after that.
Yeah,
it
so-
would have still worked out because it was
would've.
like
It would've.
because the house was intact. It just needed updates.
Yeah.
And the
It
values
was
was there.
McLean.
Nah.
Yeah.
It was better than McLean.
It was better than
It's better than
McLean.
McLean
That
because
was a nice house.
I
Yeah.
had just sold the one across the street from it.
Yeah.
So it was, and that was a probate deal,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like 205 as is, and that needed a
What
roof.
happened with that deal?
The bank took it.
They
For real?
Yeah. Well, somebody had already brought it in sheriff's sale.
Yeah.
They was in a redemption period.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I met them before the redemption period, before it even went to sheriff's sale,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I seen this play out 1,000 times.
Bro, we talked to him.
Explain, Reggie.
I talked to him.
Right.
You
personally.
did.
'Cause I told
so
him-
that was where I was like, here.
Yeah.
I told him how to, because they was going through probate. I told him how to, so the property was still in the estate's name. I told them how to finance it and even though he was the personal rep, you can buy the property from the estate, right? So let's say my grandma passed, but I'm a personal rep, and I'm buying the property from the estate right? And they didn't have any siblings to contest it or anything.
He was
so
the son. Was he
he was the son. So I'm like, that's all you got to do. It's a simple purchase. But what it was I told him, go and apply for financing just enough to pay off the balance. He was trying to buy it at a higher price so he can have money to put back into the property. I said, buy it at the price to pay off the balance, stop all foreclosure, and then go back and refinance it. You can
figure
out and then I'm like, if you gonna sell it anyway, buy it at this price, put it on the market after you save it, and make you 30 or 40,000. Because by the time you rehab it, you was only gonna make. I think he would have made about like 60 or 70,000.
We would have done that deal with a better
seller
investor. Nah, we would have done that.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because of the investor.
Gotcha, right.
That wasn't. But
That's
he
true.
was unreasonable.
He tried everything, and then when
he was greedy.
When it went to sheriff's sale, I was like, you don't have any options now. Your only option is to redeem the property and then try to sell it. But he was still thinking he had the same options he had prior to redemption.
That's the definition of don't listen.
Right. Greedy. No, he was greedy. Like you said,
greedy and don't listen.
I was pissed off because I talked to him so far in advance that he had all of these options, and the closer we got, it just narrowed down.
Because if I would have known, I didn't know Reggie then. But if I would have known you then, we met, but I didn't know you to. I didn't know that was his
you had met.
house.
So that was like when I had the Detroit Land Bank house.
Yes.
And I'm a connector of people.
Yeah.
Facts. But so I did meet you, but we weren't talking.
Right.
So, but if we would have been talking, like if that would have happened right now, there's no way we wouldn't have got that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we would have been able to talk to him. But goodness. But I want to explain to people. I mean, I'm mad about it. I mean,
I'm mad too.
actually, no, but I'm thinking about it though. I ain't gonna lie. So when that happened, it was I was scared of that deal. I'm not from Detroit, so I'm not y'all, right? That's why when the previous interview y'all was speaking, I'm being quiet. But
we all like West Side.
Right.
Yeah.
He like him.
Sorry.
I mean, I know East Side and West Side is Woodward, and I do know that, right? But I ain't gonna tell y'all why I know, right?
Right.
But anyways, what I was saying is I want to talk to people about what you mean by redemption.
Right.
Let's explain to them. So, because a lot of people are in this situation where they're about to lose their house for back taxes or whatever it is,
right?
Mortgage,
foreclosure.
Yep, and.
So, but all of it. So, back taxes, foreclosure,
However,
redemption, or probate.
However,
so redemption is the time you have to pay off your property. So you're still legally the owner during the redemption period. So the bank foreclosed on you, and then when it goes to sheriff's sale, you have 6 months to redeem your property, right? During that 6 months, you could sell it, or you can pay off the balance, or you can still settle with the bank or the person that brought the property in sheriff's sale.
But not for the full price, for what it sold for.
Yeah, what it sold for. Right.
So people don't understand that. So you may have owed $120,000 on the mortgage.
Right.
It went to a sheriff's sale, sold for $50,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you can redeem that house for $50,000.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But sometimes the bank will bid at the sheriff's sale too, because
back in the day, right?
They want to
Do they do it now?
protect their. They'll do it
They
if
do
it's
it.
equity in it. So when the property get ready to go to sheriff's sale, they order a BPO on it.
Do they?
Or an
Still.
appraisal, yep. Because they want to know, okay, this person owed me $150. We want to know if it's worth bidding $150 at the sheriff's sale, because if it's worth $250, even in worse condition, we could still make our money back. They're gonna try that instead of letting somebody go to sheriff's sale and bid, $95,000 for it.
So that is two different things though, because you have like your tax foreclosure, and then you have your mortgage,
which is usually a
foreclosure.
Yeah, the tax
3 years. 3 years. Right?
Well, it's 3 years from when you don't pay, but when it actually go to foreclosure,
got a
there's
year.
still that 1 year
Gotcha.
period, right? But what
then the bank has to make a decision in both of those scenarios what they want to do.
Oh, you saying like if the property owes back taxes too?
Yeah.
So typically the bank will pay off the back taxes to protect their interest.
Mm-hmm.
So if you owe me $100,000, but you owe Shaka $2,000, and Shaka has the first lien rights, I'm not gonna let $2,000 stop me from getting $100,000, right? So that's basically what the bank would do.
But so yeah, there are situations understood. So what you're saying is that the bank normally, not always,
right?
And it depends on the time. So I'm guessing now they definitely would pay the taxes, right?
Right.
Even though I know of a property right now.
Oh yeah, I know a few where they did.
Where they're not paying it. I'm like, just wait and see if the bank gonna pay. I guarantee the bank gonna pay, and the bank don't pay.
Well,
you know what I mean? It's the last day. Well, I say on the last day, you got to go pay it. You taking the gamble, right, as the homeowner,
right? Because
the bank could come in there that last. It don't matter if you pay it, even though the bank didn't pay it. It's their house.
Yeah. So, well, no, the county, like if the county take it for taxes, that's another reason why you got when we talk about quitclaim deeds and buying from the county, because you can have a bunch of outstanding liens just because the county took it. Those liens may still show on title. So you may have to go through a clearing process to clear those liens. Usually they come off because when the county take it through foreclosure, it's going to clear up most of those liens.
But we're talking about a situation where you are behind on your mortgage.
Right. And behind on
your taxes.
Yep.
And you're in your last year.
Yep.
On your taxes, and you were the day before the county or the city. It's the city.
The
county.
The city taxes go transfer to the county,
yes,
and then the county foreclose.
So the county is about to take the house.
Yep.
For taxes.
And the bank usually would pay the taxes.
But the bank don't pay.
Then it goes to the county.
Nope. But you pay it because you don't want to lose your house to taxes.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I always tell them, wait till that last day. I said, normally your bank is going to pay. They're not going to lose their house for $6,000.
Right.
Right. But sometimes the bank doesn't pay.
Right.
And now you on your last day.
Right.
You have to pay those taxes or you're going to lose your house.
Right.
But you pay those taxes.
Right.
And 30 days later, the bank come and foreclose on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're taking the gamble at that point.
Right.
You know?
So that's what I call financial decisions and situations, right? So you have to think about it logically. Like, I'm losing either way. So I owe $100,000 I can't pay, but I owe $6,000 that I can pay. But even if I pay the $6,000, I'm gonna still lose out to the $100,000.
Well, you could
possibly, right? Or you can say, I know I'm behind on my mortgage, and I'm gonna call my lender and say, look, I got $6,000 to reinstate my loan, but I'm behind on taxes. Can you add it to the back end? Right? It's ways to work around it, but you just have to make it, like we was talking about earlier, having communication, right? Anytime you owe somebody, most people don't want the property back.
Yeah.
Or you're in a situation, just communicate. Now, in this market, when it's hot, if they see an opportunity, they're going to take it back. But in most cases, they don't want it back because it's going to cost them effort and time to maintain it.
That's such a tough decision, though. But let me tell you why. It is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the bank, they're so discombobulated, they don't even know.
No, right.
They don't even know that this exists.
Right.
And it's like, don't go waking a sleeping giant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go pay your taxes, $6,000. Worst case scenario, you got a 6-month redemption.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that's why I always tell them, like, all right, you go pay those $6,000.
Right.
You're going to be in here probably going to be in there longer than that because you got 6 months for the redemption. And
then
they
still
got
eviction.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes they give you cash for keys,
There
which could be $2,000. I've seen them as high as $10,000.
Yeah. So it's a win. So I always tell those people to end up paying. Go ahead.
I just felt so we're about $12 years away from like the tax versus the mortgage. So first lien right position being the taxes, second lien right position being the mortgage. Mortgage companies have gotten to the point to where they resolve that issue.
Right.
So people who are having trouble paying, I suggest you pay your mortgage because the mortgage company at this point they're making sure that those taxes are paid,
Right.
so that they can be the first lien right.
100%.
But this go back. All right. So let's say this. Let's go back to renting versus buying. Right.
Yeah.
So this is what I always tell people. Right. Always think of the worst case scenario in your life. Right. That means you lose your job, your spouse passed, everything just hit the fan. You broke. Right. Meaning like you barely
Real
have
broke.
food in the refrigerator. Right. Would you want to be a tenant or a homeowner? Meaning you can't pay nothing next month.
Rather
I
be a
feel like
homeowner.
you'd rather be
by
a
far.
homeowner because
Right.
at the end of the day, when you owe or you're behind on your mortgage, they're not coming to foreclose on you for at least 6 months.
So here in Michigan,
You know what? I changed that.
well,
You
here
changed
in
Yeah.
Michigan,
Since your landlord gonna evict you in 30 days.
But you
Yeah.
don't have a
Sorry.
foreclosure on your credit, and you can move
But
it
they
fast.
may
Well,
not.
here's
They
the
might
thing,
not go
though.
all the way to foreclosure.
right? Because here's the thing:
Is
Michigan,
it time?
because of the 6-month redemption, most lenders not gonna start the foreclosure process.
Right away.
Minimum 45 days, but usually 2 to 3 months. That's 2 to 3 months of non-payments. They give you time to catch up on those payments before it goes
Exactly.
to foreclosure.
100%.
Then it goes to foreclosure. Then it goes to sheriff sale. Then you got 6 months. Then you got, after the 6 months is up, they still got to do eviction, right? You really, in all, from the time you miss your first payment to the time you getting set out, is 9 months to a year, sometimes longer.
sure.
Now compare that to being a
renter.
tenant, right?
30, 60, 90 days max.
Depends
So-
on your landlord.
Right. But your landlord ain't letting you go 9 months to
What
a year.
about the
Right.
landlord that sends their eviction out on the 3rd? Let's
Yeah.
just so that's
Rent
a
due on
business
the
person.
first.
Correct.
They sending you your notice on the 5th,
Okay.
right? So what I'm saying is sometimes home ownership isn't just about, oh, what I prefer. It's about being in control of your life situations, right? So I want to own a home because I know things could go bad, and I'm like, hey, I'm at least be here. I just gotta deal
Like,
with
figure it
DTE.
out.
Yeah, I can go
And
work
look,
at
I'm not even
Walmart.
upfront, I've been in that position more than once, and
Right.
trust me, I was glad that I owned a house versus renting one in the moments.
Right.
Like for sure.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Yes.
So hold on, before we go, I want to direct it to Reggie, and I want to bring it in. So the difference between purchase and renting. Answer the question.
Purchasing or renting, I'ma say buy if you can.
Okay, Shaka.
There's no right
Situational.
answer. Yeah,
Okay.
situation. Yeah.
How do you buy a house? I want to answer that question. Okay, how do you buy a house? You make sure you have some money to put down. Talk to your local real estate agent and professional about what that minimum down payment is. You can get with your mortgage lender as well, but that's going to be like the first step. How much cash do I need to come out of? Where does my credit level need to be? How much do I need to have in the bank for reserves? So we're talking about credit and financial capacity. That's how you buy a house, right?
Right.
Credit and financial capacity.
Right.
What am I missing?
Nothing.
We're gonna have to go into a whole
It's a lot.
No,
episode.
quick. Just quick.
I mean, quick.
Quick
You
notes.
you need down payment and credit, and
Money,
then your
financial
income to debt
capacity.
ratio.
Okay.
So you can't have an $800 car note if you're only making $2,000 a month, because you're not gonna qualify for the house you like.
If you can buy your house before you buy your car.
Right.
Mindset of the renter versus the homeowner, and what subsides under that is property taxes, repairs, things like that. So, Reggie, in your opinion, the
Right.
renter. So we're talking about mindset.
Right.
The rental mindset versus the homeowner mindset.
The rental mindset is, it's a rental car, I'm gonna give it back.
At
I'm
least
about to
like
burn
a car,
the wheels
right?
off, right?
It's at least.
But no, not all tenants think like that though. Some tenants are really good. They keep up with it because they know it's a reflection of them, and they may want to be homeowners one day, right? But tenants get a bad rap. That's because a lot of times people pick the wrong tenants. But you got to think, in most cases, people are renting to people at a lower income level, and they're expecting a lot more. And you charging somebody, $700 a month or whatever. You expecting them to perform like somebody that's paying $1,800 a month, right? And they can, but it just don't happen that way when you look at the averages, right?
Okay.
So, it depends on the person's circumstance.
So I feel like it's based on the. So I know I'm one of those people that they say like you think you control everything, right?
Right.
But I think I do. I feel like anything that I'm involved in, right?
Right.
If I can, because I'm informed. So
Right.
if I'm a landlord, if I give you a piece of shit house,
Yeah,
you're gonna treat it like a piece of shit.
exactly.
If I'm a landlord and I do this house up nice, and then when you come in, you want to live in a nice place.
Right.
So I'm always the landlord that I don't charge the most rent, but I want to have the best house.
Right.
So I want you to. I don't want the people that have to live in my house. I want
Right.
the people that want to live in my house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
They treat
just-
it different.
Yeah, just like how much graffiti do you see in Farmington Hills?
Right.
Right. So it's the expectation. It's like what people perceive something as. That's what they'll maintain it to be. So if you a slumlord, you gonna get people. You get in your life what you deserve. You attract the people you deserve. That's just the bottom line. So a lot of times I hear people complaining about their tenants, and I'm like, they you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
They're a
crazy.
reflection of the house you rent.
That's karma. Okay. So, in my perspective, renters versus homeowners, you have a mindset. So, like as a homeowner, you're going to expect to take care of your property. You're going to take care of your land. You have to pay the taxes. If the knob falls off, you have to put it back. If the faucets are leaky, you got to pay someone to come out and fix that. You can't just like call somebody or expect to always like put that off on someone else. You have to be able to establish the mindset that I want to be an owner. I want to be a person that's going to take care of my property, and I want my property to increase in value. And if I am a contributor to that, then the growth will grow at a normal rate.
Right.
When I get ready to sell this house in 5 to 7 years, I'll have some equity. And, this property has been maintained, so someone else is going to want to come in here and love it. And if I need to relocate for a job or move, or I become educated and I just need to get out of here for some reason, or I want to upsurge, like whatever that is, I've done everything that I need to do as a homeowner to be able to make that possible. When you are a renter, you don't necessarily have to do all those things because you're dependent on someone else to do that. So if the knob breaks, the faucet is leaky, or whatever the case may be, you can call somebody else for that.
Not my renters.
So-
my renters have, if it's under $200 in repairs, they do their repairs.
I got that in all my leases, and then they still call me when the toilet handle breaks.
So,
I mean, if you want to,
let me
as your rent.
share this with y'all, right?
That's your security deposit.
So everybody always bring up, well, market crash, right?
Keep the property.
So in 2008, right, when the market was peaking, then starting to go down, right? Oak Park House, 125, 135, right? Market crash, them homes selling 45, 50,000. 3-bedroom brick ranch, maybe about 1,200 square feet, right? Now the person that brought the house at 130 was paying $860 a month. The person that was renting was paying $950 a month, right? Renting Oak Park right now for the same house is $1,200. The person that brought at 135 that stayed, they survived the market crash. They looked at people buying houses for $40,000. Now them houses worth $215, $220. So which one would you rather be?
Don't let them have a
Exactly.
refi
Now-
in the 3.7 or 3.25.
Yeah, and got their
interest
payment
rate.
down and
What?
didn't take any equity out. Now they payment's $400 a month.
Yeah.
They
Now,
$800.
talk about on a nationwide level. So we're talking about in Michigan, Southeast Michigan in particular, honing in specifically on Oakland County and Oak Park. That same house in California and Orange County is probably a $400,000 house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Different marketing
So
conditions.
imagine what it
Yeah.
went down to and what it went back up
Exactly. So I guess it's just all to say it's not just specific to like this area. It's still nationwide. It just
Right.
depends on your market growth and potential. but the numbers, are still the same, right?
Yep.
All
Long
right.
term. Hold on. I
term.
got to say that. It's long term. It's 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, hold. When the
not 2
market is
years.
down, hold. Don't walk away from the properties. Don't do what your neighbors are doing. Stay consistent.
Yeah.
What you got, Reggie?
Man,
Follow,
I'm gonna tell you.
subscribe.
I wanted to share a story about this call I got today. Is it too late to share?
No, we got time
So-
for no more stories, but go ahead.
So my wife overhears me talking to some clients, right? Some of these phone calls, and she was like, "Damn, you sound like Kevin Samuels, right?" Because this is what I want to say, right? If there's red flags when people call you, right? So somebody will call, be like, "Hey, I'm calling about this house," and I'll be like, "Which one?" And they'll be like, "The brick one off of 7 Mile." I'm like, "It's a lot of brick houses off 7 Mile, right?" So they assume that you got this one house and that's the only one you got listed. Then it'd be like, "Well, how much is it?" I tell them the price, $200,000. Then I say, "What's your budget?" "I don't know. It depends." Like, depends on what, right? So then this is one lady in particular. So I said, "Well, I can send you a list of everything we got in the area. I just need to know the budget." She said, "Well, it don't matter. Just let me decide that. Just send me everything you got in the area, right?" So I said, "Well, how much are you approved for?" She said, $400,000. I said, "Well, I'll send you properties under $400,000. She said, "Well, no, just send me everything you got." I said, "Well, I want to send you $800,000 properties if you only approved the $400,000. Then she said, "Well, I don't know. I might want to spend about $200 because I might be moving in a year or so." Then I said, "So you want me to send you properties about $200,000? Then she said, "Yeah, you got anything in Southfield?" So I'm like, "Wait a minute."
No.
So she all over the place. So I'm like, "Yeah, I got plenty of homes in
Not for
Southfield."
$200,000.
So I said, "What's your budget?" Then I had to explain to her, the reason I need your budget is because I don't want to waste your time sending you properties that you're not going to buy or can't buy. She said, "Well, you should have just asked me that from the beginning, right?" So she just all over the place. Then she was saying, well, she don't want to spend a whole $400,000 because she might move. And if she going to spend $400,000, she want to do it in North Carolina. So she's like, "I only plan on being here about a year or two." But it goes back to what we saying. Some people are confused because they really don't know what they want to do. And either somebody's going to sell it to them or convince them to buy something that they really don't want. So sometimes people just need to have their life in order before they buy a house
And they're
not
told
commit to it.
buy. In her situation, she was not a buyer.
Yeah,
She was a renter. Go find you somewhere to rent.
Right.
And figure out your life and then come back when you're ready to buy.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, all right.
But it's just like, what do you qualify for? Or then it'd be like, "You got anything for rent?" Then it'd be like, "What's your credit score?" And like, it depends on what. You know how much money you got. You know what
Yeah.
you qualify for.
But no, I think in that situation, people just think that you can take something from them. I explain to people all the time, I can't take anything from you. The only thing that I can do is what you allow me to do.
Right,
But my goal is to help you.
right.
And I think once you explain to a person that your goal is to help them, they're probably a little bit more forthcoming. But for whatever reason, when you're dealing with realtors, maybe it's a bad rep from like 15 years ago or something. I don't have nothing to do with none of those people. But, that people are hesitant to give you like all of their goals
Yeah.
and what their budget is and how
Right.
much their capacity is and like all those types of things. So I think the more that we educate, the more that we are very transparent, and we let them know what our intentions are, they may be more willing to think about, how much information they're ready to reveal to us. I don't think that necessarily makes them a renter.
Well, yeah. The thing is, I have to explain to people. I'm asking, what's your budget, not what you're approved for, because you might be approved for $400,000,
Exactly.
Doesn't mean
but
you
your
wanna pay.
budget may be $300,000,
Exactly.
right? So I just need to know so we're not wasting each other's time.
Exactly.
Because then what'll happen is you want to spend $300,000, and I send you all the homes for $300,000, but then you go higher. Now you looking at $360,000, which is out your budget. Now you can't even fathom buying a house for $299,000 because you got your mindset on
Window shop.
$360,000. Now you all out of budget. right? So
But your commission just got increased.
No, but
yeah, but
he not about to get rich off of one deal. So
Right.
They
Right.
made the decision to buy that 360 instead of that
still,
200.
So on
Right.
top of that, I always
Right.
ask them, "What's your budget? Give me your max.
yep,
What do you feel comfortable paying?"
right,
You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there.
Right.
Because every house is different. Taxes are different.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So they think every $300,000 house isn't the same mortgage.
exactly, right,
So if you don't give me your budget, we can't even work.
right,
I need to know your max that you're willing to pay and what you're comfortable paying.
right,
And we're going to work from within those numbers.
yep,
We are TSARE, Jonnita Stanton, Reginald Perryman, Kashka Williams or Shaka Williams. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. We need the likes. We need the views. We want to grow.
Please.
Please. Thank you.
and amen.
Amen.
Rock, what you say?
Rock-a-bye, baby.